There's premium, there's luxe, and then there are these. These things are just luxe in overdrive, luxe squared, mega luxe, ultra luxe. I don't know what you want to call this, but I have never, ever seen a shoe as clean as this. And it's just like blinged out. I can't think of any better way to say it than blinged out. If anybody is from the UK and was kicking around in the 90s and remember someone called Ali G, maybe bling means something to you. Was it the 90s or was it the noughties? He was a famous character, now more famous as Borat. I think a lot of people know Borat out there, but the actor who plays Borat also had this character called Ali G, and bling was a thing. And it's all about gold and just shiny and bright. But this isn't just gold and shiny and bright. This is like luxe. This is just premium and bling crashed together to bring you one of the cleanest, nicest shoes I've seen in a long time. Now, I nearly passed this one by. I nearly said, like, I'm just going to go through this. It's another Air Force One. It's basically a triple white with a little bit of color on it. Don't need to get looking into that. But then I thought, oh, well, the gold swoosh on the side. I did look at this right here. Bang, there's an Air Jordan 1 High that I'm seriously thinking about getting my hands on. And one of the major parts of that shoe was I didn't think many people would realize that the swoosh on the side is actually silver, because they'll probably think it's more a grey than it is an actual silver. And then when I saw this shoe as well, I thought, well, I better take a closer look, because I learned from that old silver swoosh, and now I'm thinking like, well, there's gold on there, I might as well take a closer look at it. And I'm super glad I did, because there's definitely an extra feature in the gold on the swoosh that I didn't know about. There's a double feature on the tongue branding and the heel branding that I didn't know about. And then when it comes to the Dubrays at the bottom of the lacing system, well, any one of those would have been enough for me to take a dip in and have a look at these shoes. But all three together made it a surefire thing that I was going to bring you a video about the upcoming release of the Nike Air Force One White Metallic Gold. This is the Tokyo Butter 23 Sneaker Channel. Tokyo Butter 23 Sneaker Channel Day. It's Mainichi Yapsuru no Day. Mainichi Miti Kudasai. And every single day from Tokyo, Japan, I bring you content about upcoming sneaker releases, sneaker news, and sneaker reviews. And today is a good day. We've got one of the most beautiful sneakers of the season coming out. Luxe and Overdrive. I think I probably said something along those lines in the title of this video. And I'm not kidding. It's not just the gold, but it's just the way they've done it. It's almost like, gold bars, like it's actually made of gold. It's not just gold hits, but they look like gold. It's not just the color gold, it's actually the feel, the texture. It looks kind of heavy, to be honest. It's got a certain weight to it, gold, and they've managed to transfer that kind of image of heaviness and weightiness and substantialness from the gold that is gold in real life to the gold hits on this shoe. So it's very much well worth taking a look at and bringing to you guys and telling you about it. Now, Air Force One's not unusual for me to talk about Air Force Ones at the channel. There are a few that I've looked at recently that I was just very much a yes on, especially these guys right here. That's a recycled canvas pack. There's a big move in Nike towards zero emissions and trying to get as recyclable as possible, and that the up.
A few moments later.
Now, what I'm hoping just happened is that something went wrong with the camera. I think maybe the way the tripod was clamping my iPhone. It was touching one of the buttons, and then it just sort of turned off the video while I was shooting it. But when I was doing it, I just heard the little sort of bleep bleep noise that comes with a video stopping. So I'm like, oh my God, I'm in the middle of a video talking about the Air Force Ones. I think I was talking about the recycled canvas pack that came out, 5 silhouettes, 6 colorways, 2 of them Air Force Ones, very nice. And then I heard the bleep bleep, and now I'm super worried that I don't have any memory left on my phone. I have a few videos in there, but I wouldn't say a lot, and I keep deleting the content as I go, and I delete the recently deleted folder as well, so that there shouldn't be a big weighty amount of memory being used up on my phone. But I'm worried now that there's something, some reason why my phone's not going to be able to hold videos, and the only videos I keep in my phone are videos of my daughter from before she was born, when she was still inside, all the way through her 3 years up until very recently, and I do not want to be deleting that kind of content. So now, A, I'm really worried that I don't have enough memory on my phone, and B, I'm worried that this is going to happen again, and mid-video I'm going to suddenly cut out. So to solve both of those problems, let's just crack on and get into this shoe, go through all those details that I talked to you about already, and show you why this is one of the nicest shoes of the season. And hopefully, before the end of this video, I won't get cut off again and we'll get through it. So I said there were 3 things to look at in the shoe, and we're going to do that right now. A, the swoosh on the side. B, the branding on the tongue and on the heel, because it's very, very similar. And then C, the Dubrets down the front of these guys. So let's take it in that order and zoom in somehow on here. You're getting a close-up look at that swoosh on there. And let's stay with the swoosh, and then we'll look at the upper, because the swoosh itself, it has a textured feel, which is important when we get to the branding on the heel and the tongue, because that doesn't have that textured feel. And the way I described this was it's almost like gold leaf, as opposed to the heel and the tongue, where it's got that kind of heavy feel to it, like solid gold. This actually looks more like gold leaf because it's got a bit of a textured feel to it and a little bit more character to it. So instead of being that smooth kind of heavy gold feel, it's got a kind of breaky, crinkly feel about it, which is nice. It gives a bit of character to it. I think maybe they know that the swoosh is going to crease anyway with the way that your shoe and your foot move together. So instead of letting this beautiful smooth gold crease, they went ahead and put some textured gold on there, and this sort of already preempts the creasing that might be coming ahead. Now, staying with that swoosh though, it's important to note what's behind that, and we'll pan out just a little bit, not all the way out, but you can see what's behind it is a triple white Air Force One, and that lends itself really well to drawing our eyes straight to the gold. It's the gold that's in focus because everything else is so plain on the shoe, especially if you go down to the heel, and then there you get to see one of the places where you can play around with the detailing a bit on an Air Force One. 2 particular things. One is the branding, which hopefully you're zooming in on here, and you can see it says Air with that line that runs around to the medial side. Sometimes they colour that up, all of it, sometimes just the word Air and not the line, and sometimes in the case of this, right now it's the same colour as the midsole. The midsole white, branding on there white. But like I say, they could have gone with colouring on there like gold, for example, but that would have taken away from the lux above. And then the other thing about midsoles and branding on Air Force Ones is the stitching that holds the midsole to the upper. Sometimes they play around with that as well. Now, gold stitching is very difficult to do right. It often comes across as yellow, so I'm not surprised they didn't go with gold stitching to hold the midsole onto the upper on there, and they went with the white to give that triple white effect. But basically, point is it's a triple white sneaker, which draws your eyes to the gold branding on this. So point number 2, we've already done the swoosh with this kind of gold leaf feel to it. Let's go to point number 2, which is the tongues and the heel branding. And I'll start with the tongues because it's just, I mean, it doesn't matter which one because they're so similar. And what you're looking at is usually what you'd get on the Air Force One is at the top of the tongue you'd have a square panel, and then on that square panel you'd have some kind of branding, usually in contrast to the colour of the square panel. For example, black panel, white branding on it. But in the case of these guys, it's gold on gold, and like I said before, this is where you're getting that heavy, silky feel about the gold as opposed to that kind of crinkled, textured feel that you get on the swoosh. And then if we travel just quickly past that into the insole, you can see the insole is white with gold branding on it, and then all the way back to the heel, and you see the branding on the heel is the same motif, the same story as that tongue branding with that thick kind of dense feel to it, not at all like the swoosh on the side with that textured effect. So very, very similar branding on the heel and on the tongue of these guys. And then the final thing to talk about that I wanted to bring you to is that Dubray. Usually, and before I show it, I won't show it, but I'll try and explain to you, or I'll bring up another pair of shoes and show you their Dubray. Maybe that would be easier. Usually what Air Force Ones do is in the very bottom lace of the lacing system, they thread through a piece of rectangular metal. So the lace goes in one side behind the rectangular metal and out the other side, and it holds it in place across the length of the bottom lace. That's what they usually do, but this is what they've done today. So hopefully what you're looking at now is the Dubray at the bottom of the lacing system. 2 very important points in that are A, it's obviously not a metal rectangle, it's actually a 3D swoosh, but with a little bit more in there as well. That bling I was talking about earlier is definitely in effect here, but also you can see it's not on the bottom lace. What they've actually done is half a lace higher, so it's not on the second lace, it's kind of halfway between the bottom lace and the second lace, where the 2 sides, the right and the left laces cross, and on that cross is where they've hooked this Dubray. And the reason they've done done that is so that it doesn't slide from side to side. If this was on the bottom lace, it wouldn't have anything to stop it sliding all the way to the right or all the way to the left. But because it's on two laces and the cross section between them, then it can't slide either way. And you can probably see what I'm talking about from the picture behind me here. But it's a very nice feature, very unique to this shoe. And like I say, back out to the whole shoe, triple white with 3 very significant hits of gold on there. Any one of them would have been enough to make a video about this shoe and say this is very cool and very unique. But altogether, it's luxe in overdrive. These are very cool hits, very unique to this shoe. And it's one of those ones, like I said, I would have passed by, but I'm glad I didn't and had a deep look at it. And hopefully you guys appreciate that out there as well. Now, I haven't heard any ding-dongs from my phone telling me that I've run out of memory or I've run out of the phone stopped recording or something like that. So fingers crossed, that was just an aberration. I'm due an iPhone 12. This is an iPhone 6 and I've been waiting for 5G before I upgrade. So if an iPhone 12 is coming my way at some point in the next few months, and hopefully that will bring better quality content to the channel too. For now though, time to sign off and just do what I do at the end of every single video before it goes bing bong on my phone and shuts this video down without my permission mid-sentence. I'll just do what I do at the end of every single video, which is thank you guys for checking out the content and remind you I do this every single day. So that means that you are guaranteed to see me tomorrow.